Matt ducked behind the school dumpster, his sneakers skidding on wet gravel, the jeers of bigger kids ringing in his ears. Freak! Until Sarah charged in, her fist slamming into Tommy Baxter's nose, blood spraying as she yelled, "Leave him alone!" She was 18, all fire and chipped nails, Matt's big sister and his only shield in a small Oregon town where fists flew faster than words. She dragged him home, her jacket torn, his glasses cracked, and promised, "I've got your back." Kid, always. She was his rock until she wasn't, and that promise would shatter harder than Tommy's cartilage. Matt was 13 then, a skinny kid with a stutter, the kind bullies sniffed out like hounds on a trail. They lived in a sagging house off Highway 101, rain streaking the windows, their mom chain-smoking on the couch, their dad gone to the bottle and then just gone. Sarah was different, tough, loud, the girl who'd skipped class to fish with Matt by the creek, teaching him to cast a line while she smoked stolen Camels. She'd slug anyone who messed with him. Tommy, the Miller twins, even Coach Davis when he called Matt soft. Her knuckles bruised, her grin fierce. Nobody touches my little brother. He worshipped her shadow his safe place in a world that didn't care. They'd sit on the porch steps, the Pacific wind rattling the pines, splitting a Coke she'd nabbed from the gas station, her laugh cutting through the gloom. "You're gonna be okay, Matty," she'd say, ruffling his hair. Her voice steady when their moms wasn't, when their dad's fists left echoes. She worked weekends at the diner, grease on her apron, tips in her pocket, slipping him fries under the table, plotting how they'd ditch this town someday. Matt clung to her strength, her swear jar curses, a lifeline in a house where love was thin, where he hid the part of himself that liked boys, a secret he'd only whisper to her someday. She saw it, didn't she? The way he'd blush at Jake from algebra, the way he'd dodge dances at school. But she never pushed, just stood guard, her arm around him when the taunts flew, her boots stomping through mud to pull him from fights. "You're mine to protect," she'd growl, wiping blood from his lip. And he believed it, believed she'd stand by him no matter what. Their mom barely looked up from her ashtray. Their neighbors sneered from porches, but Sarah was his wall, his warrior, 5 years older, a lifetime wiser, holding the world at bay with her fists and her fire, a bond he thought nothing could break. Time rolled on. Matt hit 15, Sarah 20. Still tight? Still them against it all. He'd sketch comics in his room. She'd blast Nirvana from hers, their shouts drowning out the TV's drone. She'd moved out, got a trailer with her boyfriend, had a baby girl, Ellie, but she'd still swing by, toss him a candy bar, check his bruises. He hadn't told her yet, not about the boys, not about the ache, but he knew he would. Soon, because she was Sarah, his shield, the one who'd bleed for him. He didn't see the crack coming, the day he'd bare his soul, and she'd turn it to stone. That's how it began, a sister's fists against a cruel town, a brother's trust in her iron grip, a promise sealed in blood and Coke cans. It's a story of loyalty and how it breaks, so stick around, it's gonna sting. If this grabs you, hit that like, share it with someone who's fought for family, and subscribe to Heart Stories. We're spinning tales of real heart, real hurt, and I'd love you here for it. Matt sat on Sarah's trailer steps, the Oregon dusk painting the pines gold, his hands shaking as he rehearsed the words, "I'm gay," a secret he'd carried since the Creek days, ready to spill to the one person who'd always had his back. She'd been his shield, fists flying, promises sworn. But when he finally said it, her face turned to stone, her voice cutting sharp. "You're not the brother I knew." The air went cold. The trailer door slammed. And Sarah, his rock, his warrior, cut him loose. A betrayal that hit harder than any bully's punch, leaving him alone in a family that had never wanted him anyway. He was 20, a lanky kid with a job bagging groceries, still sketching comics in a notebook frayed at the edges, living in their mom's smoke-choked house. Sarah was 25, a mom now, Ellie, her toddler, giggling inside that trailer she shared with her boyfriend, Nick. She'd invited Matt over, pizza night. A rare catch-up, her hair still wild, her laugh still loud, tossing him a slice like old times. He'd waited till Nick stepped out for a smoke. Ellie napping, The TV buzzing low. Sarah, he started, voice cracking. I've got to tell you, I'm gay. He'd pictured her grin. Her shrug, so what? Maddie? But her eyes darkened. Her slice dropping to the plate, grease staining the table. She stood, arms crossed, her diner apron crumpled on the counter, staring at him like he'd grown horns. What? She snapped. Sharp, like he'd confessed a crime. He stammered. I like guys. Always have. His heart pounding, begging her to understand. She didn't. Her jaw tightened, her voice ice. You're not the brother I knew, not my Maddie. He blinked, stunned. Sarah, it's still me. But she shook her head. No, it's not. She turned, grabbed Ellie's toys, her hands shaking. I fought for you, bled for you, and this is what you are? The words sliced, deep, raw, a rejection he'd never dreamed from her. It spiraled, Matt pleading, you said you'd always have my back. His voice breaking as she wheeled on him. Not for this, I can't. Nick came back, cigarette glowing, catching the tail end. His grunt low. What's this crap? Sarah waved him off. He's leaving. Matt stood, legs numb. Sarah, please. But she pointed to the door. Go, just go. He stumbled out, the gravel crunching underfoot. Her shout chasing him. Don't call. Don't come back. The trailer door banged shut, Ellie's cry piercing through, and Matt was alone, rain starting, soaking his hoodie. The sister who'd sworn always, now a wall he couldn't climb. Home was worse, Matt told their mom next day, her cigarette pausing mid-drag, her scoff bitter. Figures, another disappointment. She didn't yell, just turned up the TV, smoke curling. Her silence louder than Sarah's words. Word spread, cousins stopped texting. Old pals dodged his eyes at the store, the town's whispers a noose tightening. Sarah's cut was the deepest. She'd been his shield, his lifeline, and now she'd slashed it, her not my brother echoing in his skull. He packed a bag, comics, clothes, a few bucks, left a note their mom wouldn't read, and hitched out of town, the highway stretching dark, his trust in her bleeding out with every mile. He'd lost her, lost them all, in a heartbeat, a confession meant to free him, chaining him instead. Sarah's face, twisted, cold, haunted him, her promise a lie unraveling under the weight of who he was. 10 years would pass before he'd hear her name again. But that night, under the Oregon rain, Matt walked broken, betrayed, a kid who dared to speak his truth and paid with the one soul he'd thought would never turn. Matt leaned against the counter of a Portland coffee shop, the hiss of the espresso machine drowning out the rain tapping the windows. His hands steady now. 10 years since Sarah's trailer door slammed. Since her words, not my brother, sent him running from that Oregon town. He was 30, a barista with a faded hoodie and a sketch pad tucked under the register, pouring lattes for strangers in a city that didn't ask his story. 10 years of drifting, jobs, rooms, nights alone, had built a life, brittle but his, though Sarah's shadow clung like damp on his bones, a wound he couldn't shake no matter how far he roamed. He'd landed in Portland at 20, hitched from the coast, a backpack and a busted heart, crashing on a buddy's couch till he scraped enough for a room above a dive bar. The city was gray, wet streets, brick walls, hipsters with tattoos, but it swallowed him. Let him hide. He'd found work fast, dishwasher, then barista, his hands learning steam wands and grinders. His stutter gone, but his voice quiet. Clipped answers to, where you from? He didn't talk about the house off Highway 101, the mom who'd shrugged, the sister who'd turned him out. Customers didn't care, just tipped him in quarters, left him to mop floors and sketch comics in the downtime. Nights were the worst. He'd sit in that shoebox room, the bar's jukebox thumping below, a cheap beer sweating on the table, staring at walls papered with his drawings, heroes, battles, no faces like Sarah's. She'd creep in anyway, her fists pounding Tommy Baxter, her laugh over a Coke, her snarl that last night, you're not my Maddie. He'd down the beer, shoved the memory back, but it stuck, a splinter under his skin. He didn't date much, met guys at bars, shared a drink, maybe more, but trust was a ghost. Sarah's cut too deep, or always a lie that kept him locked, a man drifting through a life he couldn't anchor. He got by, rent paid, a bike to ride the bridges, a nod from the shop owner. Good worker. Matt. He'd sketch at the counter, customers peeking. You're talented, but he'd shrug, stuff the pad away. His dreams small now. No plans to ditch this town like they'd once dreamed. Friends tried, baristas like Jen, loud and nosy, dragging him to karaoke. Sing. Matt. But he'd sip his drink, smile thin, stay on the edge. The past was a weight. Sarah's trailer. Ellie's cry. The family he'd lost, not a word from them in 10 years. No calls. No letters. Just silence. Thick as the fog rolling off the Willamette. Portland held him, rain-soaked, coffee-stained. A city that didn't judge but didn't heal. He'd bike the waterfront, wind biting his face, watch the river turn gray and cold. Think of her, Sarah. Tougher than him. His shield, wondering if she'd changed, if she'd cared. He didn't look, didn't search her name, didn't call, pride or pain keeping him shut. A man surviving on fumes of who he'd been. The shop was his world. Espresso shots, small talk, sketches, days bleeding into nights, 10 years piling a wall around his heart. A fortress she'd cracked but couldn't breach again. He'd made it, 30. Steady, alone. A barista with a life carved from nothing. No roots but the ones he'd scratched out. Sarah's betrayal wasn't a storm anymore, just a dull ache, a scar he traced when the rain hit hard. He didn't need her, didn't need anyone, kept his head down, his hands busy, his truth quiet now. A gay kid who'd learned to drift, not fight. 10 years had taught him to stand, shaky, sure, but the past wasn't done. And a knock was coming, one he'd never see past the steam in the sketches. Matt wiped the coffee shop counter. The Portland rain drumming a steady beat outside, steam curling from the espresso machine as the door chime jangled. A little girl stepped in, 10 years old, her raincoat dripping, her eyes sharp like Sarah's used to be. She marched up, a folded letter clutched tight, and said, "You're Matt, right? My mom's Sarah, your sister, she sent me." 10 years had buried her name in his scars, but now it cracked open. And when the girl, Ellie, spoke again, her voice shook. "She's sorry, and I'm gay too." The shop spun, a twist from a past he'd fled slamming into his quiet life like a freight train. It was late, closing time near, the last hipsters nursing their lattes, the radio humming low with some grunge tune. Matt squinted at her, curly hair plastered wet, sneakers squeaking on the tile, a backpack slung over one shoulder. "Ellie," she said, firm, like she'd rehearsed it. "Ellie Harper, Mom says you're her brother." His gut lurched. Sarah's kid, the toddler he'd last seen giggling in that trailer, now standing here. A decade gone. He dropped the rag, hands trembling. "What's this about?" She thrust the letter forward. Paper creased, ink smudged from rain. She wrote it. She's sorry for what she did. He froze. Sorry? The word a ghost after 10 years of silence. He took it, fingers numb, unfolding it under the shop's dim lights. Sarah's scrawl, messy like always, spilling across the page. "Matt, I messed up. It started. I pushed you away when you needed me. I was scared. Stupid." "Wrong." His throat tightened, her voice echoing through the words. "I said you weren't my brother, but I've regretted it every day." Ellie watched, chewing her lip. As he read on, "Ellie came out last month. She's like you, and I can't lose her too." Matt's eyes stung. Sarah, the shield who'd turned, now cracked open, her plea raw. "I'm sorry, come see us." The paper shook. A decade's weight crashing down, Ellie piped up, her voice small but steady. "Mom cries a lot. She says she was mean to you because she didn't get it." Matt looked at her, those eyes. Sarah's fire dimmed to a flicker, a kid facing her own fight. "I told her I like girls." Ellie said, "Chin up," and she freaked, then said, "I needed you, an uncle who'd understand." He blinked, the twist sinking in. Sarah, who'd cut him for being gay, now begging through her daughter, a lesbian too, a mirror of his own scared 20-year-old self. The shop faded, coffee steam, rain, all of it, leaving just him and this girl, a bridge he'd never expected. He sank onto a stool, the letter crumpling in his grip. She sent you alone. Ellie nodded. I took the bus. 2 hours, she doesn't know I'm here. Her bravery hit him, 10, soaked, chasing a stranger for her mom's guilt, for her own truth.
She's sick.
Ellie added, quiet. Coughing bad, won't say it. But I see it. Matt's chest ached. Sarah. Sick? The sister who'd punched bullies, now frail, reaching back through this kid. He stared at Ellie, her raincoat puddling the floor, and saw it, Sarah's regret. Her fear, her kid's courage, a twist tying them across 10 years of hurt. He didn't know if he could face her, if he could forgive, but Ellie's eyes held him, pleading. Will you come? I need you, she does. The shop clock ticked. The rain pounded, and Matt stood 30, scarred, a barista with a past roaring back. Sarah's sorry wasn't a fix, not yet, but Ellie's voice, her truth, was a thread pulling him toward a door he'd locked. 10 years had drifted him here, and now a kid, his niece, was dragging him back. A twist he couldn't dodge, a fight he might not win. Matt pulled into the trailer park. The Portland rain traded for Oregon's coastal mist. The truck's tires crunching gravel as Ellie pointed to Sarah's door. 10 years gone, and now he faced it. His sister's shadow behind the screen. She stepped out, thinner, cough rattling her chest, her wild hair tamed by time, and Ellie ran to her, tugging Matt along. He's here. Mom! 10 years of silence, of Sarah's not my brother, melted under her tired eyes. And what came next wasn't a fix, but a stitch. A fragile thread tying them back through a little girl's courage and a truth they'd both fought. The trailer smelled of stale coffee and menthols. Sarah sank onto a sagging couch, her hands twisting a dish towel, Ellie curling beside her, watching Matt like he'd bolt. I was wrong, Sarah rasped, her voice breaking. I pushed you out, scared of what I didn't know. He stood, boots scuffing the rug, the letter's ink still burning in his mind. I'm sorry. You were my shield, he said. Low. Then you weren't. She nodded, tears spilling. I hated myself. When Ellie said she's gay, I saw you, saw what I did. Her cough cut through. Harsh. And Matt saw it. Sickness. Regret. A sister undone. Ellie piped up. I told Mom I like girls, she cried. Then wrote you. Matt knelt, meeting her gaze, Sarah's fire, his fight, mirrored in this kid. You're brave, he said, and she grinned. You too. Sarah reached, her hand cold on his. I should have stayed your sister. He didn't pull away, just held it. 10 years of hurt softening, not gone, but bending. They talked, slow, halting, about bullies, comics, Ellie's school, her fears. A bridge built on shaky ground. Sarah wheezed. Help her like I didn't help you, and Matt nodded. A pact in the quiet. A family remade, not whole, but real. He stayed an hour, Ellie showing him drawings, Sarah sipping tea, her cough a clock ticking down. He left with a hug, her arms frail, Ellie's tight, a promise to call, to be there. The drive back was fog and headlights, Matt's chest lighter, Sarah's sorry, a balm on a scar he'd carried alone. 10 years taught him love could break, could bruise, but it could mend too, if you let it breathe. Ellie's truth, his truth, had pulled them back. A circle closed not by blood, but by courage, a lesson in standing when the shield falls. They'd found each other, Matt, Sarah, Ellie, a thread through a decade's wreckage, a family bent but standing. He'd help Ellie face her fights, be the uncle Sarah hadn't been, and that was enough, more than he'd dreamed behind that counter. Who'd you forgive to heal a break like this? Tell me below, it's one word for me, Sarah. If this story shook you, please hit that like, share it with someone who'd feel it deep, and subscribe to Heart Stories. I'm begging you. Stay with us for these raw, real tales.